A desert icon just crushed the establishment. It's a total earthquake. Let's break it down.
We were not being represented and not being admired for our beauty. If we felt like that as Black women, why would we want to do that to other women? Why would we now need to make other people downplay their beauty so that we can feel, no, that's not how it works. I don't need someone with blonde hair and blue eyes to downplay their beauty because I know my beauty. Do you understand? It doesn't bother me that a woman feels and says that she's beautiful. Why shouldn't she feel that? Why have we gotten to a point where certain colors or certain kinds of people have to be afraid of loving themselves and loving the way they look? Like, isn't that wild?
Right in the heart of Phoenix, the air was heavy with an energy you just don't feel at those dusty old-school political rallies. This was AmFest 2025, the big show for Turning Point USA. You had thousands of young patriots packed into the room, probably expecting the same old talking points from the usual conservative faces. But then, the script flipped. The stage was glowing in this wild pink and blue gradient, a total collision of high-end pop culture and the values your grandparents grew up with. When those lights went down and the beat dropped, everyone in that room knew they weren't just watching a concert. They were watching a breakout. It was a flat-out declaration of independence from the media machine that tries to tell you how to think. These Gen Z and millennial conservatives aren't buying the gatekeeping anymore. They waited in total silence until a roar literally shook the building. Why? Because a new ally just stepped out from the shadows of an industry that's usually hostile to people like you. Let's be real. For decades, the entertainment world has been a fortress for one specific way of thinking. If you dared to step out of line, you were isolated, labeled, or just plain canceled. But Nicki Minaj? She's been chipping away at those walls for years now. She's been asking the wrong questions about mandates and sticking up for the right to actually use your own brain, even when the mainstream press tried to bury her for it. When she walked out in that sleek black dress to sit with Erika Kirk, the visual alone was enough to make the elites lose their minds. This is the kind of partnership the experts said would never happen. You've got hip-hop royalty sitting down with grassroots activists. It's a massive reality check to the idea that being conservative is only for one type of person. Minaj being there proves the old labels are dead. She's using that massive platform to show that the political establishment doesn't own her, and it doesn't own you either. The conversation hit on the one thing the power players use to keep us at each other's throats: racial unity. And trust me, Minaj didn't pull any punches. She went right after the modern social movements that claim they want equality, but actually thrive on making us hate our neighbors. She called out the absolute irony of people who say they're fighting for justice while they're busy fueling a culture that's openly hostile toward white people. She made it clear, you don't need to tear someone else down or trash their heritage just to feel good about yourself. To her, that whole mindset is just a way to keep us from actually connecting as humans. She's telling you that you have every right to be proud of who you are without carrying a load of manufactured guilt. That message hit home for an audience that's sick of being told they're the problem by some professor or news anchor. Minaj wasn't playing the usual identity politics games. She was talking about objective truth and a return to actually appreciating beauty. She told the crowd to stop falling for this zero-sum trap where one person's win has to be another's loss. It was a call to dump the bitterness that's been rotting our culture for 10 years. Think about it. She's talking about making sure kids don't grow up resenting people just because of the color of their skin. That's not a radical idea, it's common sense. It's the bedrock of what we believe. By talking about self-love instead of academic jargon, she cut right through the noise and spoke to the heart of the country. The internet exploded the second the clips started dropping. Why? Because she's rewriting the rules of what a modern icon is supposed to say. She's stripping away the elite's script and giving people the truth. Forget the outfits and the fame for a second. At the core of all this is her faith. Nicki's never hidden her Christian roots, but at AmFest, you could tell that's where her backbone comes from. She wasn't getting her talking points from a political party. She was getting them from a higher power. That's how she's been able to stand her ground while everyone else in the music industry turns their back on her. She spoke about the importance of prayer and staying connected to your roots when the rest of the world is trying to rewire your soul. This is exactly what the patriotic movement is all about. It's the bridge between the city streets and the American heartland. She's showing everyone that without a moral compass, the whole culture is just waiting to fall apart. She's not just a star anymore. She's a reminder that spiritual strength is the only thing that actually lasts in a world gone mad. You knew it was coming. The legacy media didn't waste a second trying to shut her down. Did they talk about her message of unity? Of course not. They went straight for the character assassination. They started digging up old stories and personal drama, trying to bury her message under a pile of distractions. It's the oldest trick in the book. When you can't win the argument, you attack the person. The gatekeepers realized they'd lost one of their biggest stars, so they tried to burn the bridge behind her. They focus on the past because they're terrified of what she's saying right now. But here's the thing, it's backfiring. People are tired of being told who they're allowed to listen to. The double standard is so obvious, it's painful. Other celebrities get a standing ovation for their politics as long as they stay in their lane. Minaj is doing the one thing they can't stand. She's thinking for herself. And her refusal to back down only makes the movement stronger. Look at the facts. The cultural monopoly the left has held for years is finally cracking. When you have one of the most successful artists of the century standing in front of thousands, advocating for unity and traditional values, the ground starts to shake. This isn't just about one single speech. This is about killing the fear that's kept everyone else in Hollywood quiet. AmFest was just the first domino to fall. It's a signal to every other creator out there that there's a home for you if you actually care about free speech and common sense. The question now isn't if more people will follow her, it's who is next. This isn't just about policy anymore. It's a full-on cultural awakening. The gatekeepers are losing their grip on the remote, and the people are finally waking up. Nicki Minaj just planted her flag. Now the world is watching to see who has the guts to stand next to her. The era of keeping your head down is over. The Great Awakening has begun.
This report is complete, but the fight is just beginning. Subscribe now to stand with us.